Nick Preka. Any updates on the big backpack that you shown around a year ago on one of the lives? Is that project still alive? If I remember right, it was a top loader that had a drawstring under the flap. No. Nobody showed interest in it. You guys showed no fucking interest in it. It's still sitting back there. I have not finished it. What I thought you were asking about was the bigger medical backpack, and we actually had that out yesterday looking at it. I have actually built a new bag. I just built the third one. Actually, let's
I haven't had time to watch the lives lately. I've been editing, but you put that as the thumbnail for the lives, and I'm like, what is that? That's something
It's
I've
literally
never seen
like
before.
the perfect purse.
So let's shoot some B-roll of this.
Okay.
We can just GoPro it and
I mean,
cut it in right here,
yeah.
rather than trying to show it over in front of that camera. But what this is, and we could just use this audio over it. It's a little tiny Mookie war bag, and the Mookie war bag was never the Mookie war bag. Mookie wanted to attach his name to it. I built that bag for about a year before we named it the Mookie war bag. And what the Mookie war bag was basically, I was never in love with it. It was too fucking heavy, overbuilt. Everybody was building these bailout bags and these go bags, and we built that thing. Egg Roll came out with some shit that I don't even know what he fucking called it. Something to do with fast food, I'm sure.
Probably.
But what this is, instead of holding 4 mags on the front, this holds 3. It is one main compartment. We loaded it up. You can put 8 mags, 9 mags you can stuff across it, and that'll make it nice and tight. You can put 2 more in that compartment sideways behind, so you can put 11 mags in the main compartment. Not the intention. You're in here, I picture a bottle of water, some med kits, maybe some manual entry tools, a couple smoke grenades. Like, you could really put a lot of shit in the main compartment. The pouches on the front will hold 3 M4 mags. You could also put AKs. And then the flap closes down over that and conceals it all. You could walk into Starbucks and nobody's going to look at this thing and think guns, right? I always say Starbucks because there's always a bunch of little fucking pussies in Starbucks. Velcro closure, no Fastex buckle, Velcro on the sides. You can get your hand up here and just open it up real nice. Now, when you flip it around on the back, there's a zippered pouch that is just a zippered pouch. You can put a ton of shit in there, your wallet, your keys, your pistol, whatever. There's no way to secure it. I didn't put Velcro in this. To put Velcro in it, to do it as a cross draw, the Velcro has to go on the back side. You can't go on the front there.
You had Velcro in the main compartment, though, right?
Yes.
I thought
yeah, against the wall there. Yeah. Because if you're carrying this shit, I want you to have you should have a gun on you, right? This is all the other shit you need. The gun is the bare fucking minimum. Your car's on fire, you're trying to get out. When you jump out, your gun's with you, right? So then I've got this shoulder strap that I've clipped in with 1.5 Fastex buckles. I've never liked this shoulder strap. It works fine on the rigs. This twists. I don't like this. So what we're going to do is we're going to sew in a D-ring or a key ring, a split ring, and then we're going to use our clip that we use on our duffel bags because it pivots 360. It's also quieter. It's just more, it's an upgrade, right? When we built this bag the other night, Cody looked at it. He's like, man, that's cool. I'm like, we can do better. And then I built another one last night, this one here. And he looked at it and he's like, man, that's cool. I'm like, we can do better. So
that goes back to what the first question was. You're creating something, it's never going to be perfect for you.
Correct. So what this really started as is we've got mystery order 8 out there. We have 550 orders in limbo, right? I've got all the shirts. I've got all the stuff. Everything's there. The orders are all batched up in colors. Most people ordered multicam black and multicam. There are some weirdo colors in there.
Always.
But we need to get that out, right? That's a lot of money people have paid us for in limbo. So the only thing lacking is the item that we're putting in there, right? We've got the swag, we've got the t-shirt, we've got the other stuff. So I have an item we were building that the on Sunday, I think. Mm-hmm. And then I turned that into this. And then that one turned into this one that I did last night. And I've got the one on the sewing machine right now. When she came and got me for lunch, I'm about 80% done with it, and that's going to be the final one. That is the one. And what I didn't like about this is when I go to grab this lid and rip it up, it's not rigid. So I took a piece of scuba webbing and sewed it between the 2 layers of material, and that gave you a nice positive purchase. You get your fingers in there, you grab it, and it pulls both sides left and right evenly.
Gives you a nice.
This would fully work. This is how we did shit for fucking the last 30 years.
Yeah.
We can do better.
I think with a little bit of scuba webbing there too, it would make it heavier. So like you could let it go and it would slap down.
Yeah, somewhat. Yeah. So that's the better shoulder strap. Really, this is 90% how it's going to be. So if you have one of those mystery orders, that'll be one of the next things we're working on. We got to build 550 bags. You guys really like it when we let you pick your colors, and the sales triple when we let you pick your own colors, and the majority of you pick colors
that we're going
to make anyways. But it slows us down a lot when we have to do all the individual colors. But I mean,
you've talked about it in a while. Like I haven't heard you say this in a while, but when you do contrast thread, you have to sew everything twice. That's what you used to say.
Yeah. So especially when I sew it, sew it so it really pops. But yeah, it takes us 3 times longer.
Yeah.
To sew contrasting thread. If you look around Instagram, you'll see guys doing contrasting thread. And then when you look at that, just keep in mind the picture they showed you on social media
was the best one.
That's the best they got. And it's nothing close to what we're doing.
Well, I mean, just making sure, I mean, when you do contrast thread, the stitches stick out. Like, you really see them.
Yeah.
And just having them straight is probably a pain in the ass.
Well, I try to hit the same hole. Like,
Really?
yeah, mine are going through the same holes typically.
That's cool.
The camera is a magnifying glass. It is an amplification of reality, and just keep that in mind. Like I think Recoil Magazine had a couple of our belts. They had a couple of our belts, and they did this rigger belt review or whatever. And I think there's 15, 20 companies that they had riggers belts from. They looked like absolute trash. That like you could see their sewing machine was not tensioned when they fucking sewed the belt. And what that means is the thread needs to meet and cross in the middle of the product. So if you see a line, like, when you rip open a bag of dog food and you pull it and it just goes, that's what untensioned thread will do. If you were to cut that, if you were to cut a nick, just cut that line sitting flat on top, cut it all the way to the right, you could pull it right out all the way from the left, and it would all be unstitched. You need that thread to pull evenly into the meat, into the middle of what you're doing. And if you have too much tension on the top, it sits flat if you have too much tension on the bottom. And the way you add tension to the bottom is just remove tension from the top. It's literally a knob.
Yeah.
But these guys sent these belts in, and they were completely straight lined like that. Or they just had fucking threads hanging all over them. Like, we got contacted from Recoil, like, hey, we're doing this review. Will you send us 3 belts? So I have to assume they did too.
Yeah.
That was the best they had to offer.
I mean, I don't know if there's any. I mean, I'm sure you know, but I don't know if there's anybody making stuff in America. Like there's American companies, but are they being made in sew shops in America like you guys have?
There has to be.
Yeah, I don't know.
There has to be, but I do have the feeling that a lot of the guys that are screaming American made the loudest. How come you can't go on their social media and see sewing machines?
Yeah.
Like,
or go to their sewing factory.
Yeah, that's huge for you guys. I mean, your open door policy is
you can walk in here and you can see evidence of exactly everything that you've been shown.
And even if you don't come in here, I mean, I do a live feed.
Yeah.
Almost every day I do a live feed in the shop. Like, I walk around, you can see human beings on sewing machines. And I mean, at 9 o'clock, it's not like we set up a sew shop to trick people. I mean, I fucking walk all around the building.
You're like, welcome to my crib. I have all of these sewing machines.
But that's what I'm saying. Like, maybe they don't have quality control as much, like actual control of their quality as much as you guys, because they're probably coming from someplace else. But I don't know. I'm just talking out of my ass.
I think a lot of it's corporate, man. That dude, he's getting paid, and that's all he gets paid.
Yeah. Yeah.
And he doesn't get paid no more, and he's not the dude designing shit.
It kind of sucks when you realize, like, if you're into, like this is a hobby for most people. Like, people get tactical gear as a hobby, and they love it, and they're spending their weekends training and that kind of stuff. And you realize the guys that are selling you all this stuff, they could work for Coke the same way. Like,
right.
They don't care about what you're doing.
Yeah.
You know.
They have no passion.
Exactly. Yeah.
This was a hobby for a long time for me. Like I worked normal jobs to be able to do what I do right now. And what I mean by that is I didn't work normal jobs to get here to be able to do this. I worked normal jobs to have money to be able to do the exact same things that I still do today. I was on a sewing machine this morning from, 9 o'clock till noon at least.
Yeah.
Before that, I was back cutting material out on the table. This weekend, I came in here, and I was in here this weekend for hours cutting and doing the job that Cody and Jeremy do, right? Because we are doing everything we can do. The only way to do more is to bring more people in or to spend more hours doing it. We pulled up at I guess it's a fast food place. It's not really fast food, though.
It's a driveway.
There's a restaurant here that doesn't have seating, right? You have to drive in to get your food. Good business model for them. And it's called Pappy's. It's a chicken place. And I'd heard about it, and I knew some guys that were, talking well about it on social media. But they were never open. Like, never did I ever drive. I really thought the place is just, they built it and never opened the place. But I was seeing people I know talk well about it, and I'm like, it's never fucking open. It's not open on Saturday. It's not open on Sunday. It's not open when it's dark. And I said, if I owned that place would be open. And people are like, well, he can't get good help. He can't get this, right? So we heard that they had new owners. So I never went there just because of the mindset. And I might even know the dude that owns it and just not know it. He might be a great dude, but it's just that mindset. And when we drove in there the other day, we've been there 5 or 6 times. They have a hamburger.
It's like a real ass
that is
hamburger.
a legit hamburger, right? We go in there and I'm like, this is a real fucking hamburger. And I bring it back and I eat about a quarter of it and then I throw the buns away and I eat the rest of the thing, right? But we went there Saturday or Sunday. We went in there and they were open. And I go, that's the fucking dude that owns the place, right? And she said something. I go, there's only 2 people in there. And I said, it's crazy because they were never open on Sunday. This is a church town. If you want to make money, you're going to make most of your money on Sunday after church gets out. So the church gets out at 10 o'clock, church gets out at 12 o'clock. I think church gets out at 2, depending on the church, right? We have 120 churches in the county here. Yeah. So why would you not be open on Sunday? If you're going to be closed on fucking Monday or something, but be open on Sunday. And there's only 2 people in there, and it's the owner. And Amanda said, I think Amanda said, yeah, it's they just don't have enough bodies. I go, but they're here working. I go, what would we do if this was ours? She goes, we'd fucking do it ourselves.
We would just do it.
And that's exactly, and then I thought, well, that's exactly what we did this weekend, right? We need more material cut, literally. Tracing and cutting material. I turned on a live feed. It's not about what I'm doing. It's about that I'm doing it, right? If you want to run a business and you want to be successful, you have to be willing to do the work. Starting a business and hiring other people to do all the shit, awesome. 10 years ago, and I don't think that exists right now.
Even 10 years ago, I mean, what does it say about you if you can't do what you're supposed to be doing? Like, you're the head of this because you started it.
Right. How can you expect
can
you expect your employees to do something that you yourself
I've
cannot
been
do?
I've been doing this 35 years. I still do some of the same shit today that I did 35 years ago because it's just, we're going to succeed, right? And the better we do, the better they do, the better every person in that building does. And that's what it takes. And we still both days this weekend, we went out of town 2 hours and went and did some shit we wanted to do. And still, both days, I put in 4 hours of work. I also worked out fucking every day this weekend, real workouts.
That goes back to like what Andrew Tate was saying about being around the right kind of people and stuff. I had a super productive week this week, and then did a bunch of other shit too.
Yeah.
And it's like 2 years ago that wouldn't have been what I was doing. I would have been like, oh, I did so much. I need to hang out and watch TV.
Did you watch the video I sent you from Brad Lee ending chronic illness? Dropping bombs. Okay, Bradley.
Oh, yeah. So
Okay.
I started that one because it's like an hour long. I like the dropping bomb. Is that him?
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah.
So that's him. I didn't even know who he was.
Yeah.
Until
I've seen
TikTok.
him from you. Yeah.
And then he started popping up. Yeah, he's the end chronic illness guy.
No.
Yes.
Bradley is the dropping bombs guy.
Yes.
The chronic illness guy
was on Bradley's show.
Brecca.
But that's how you found him. It was that video. So he said, I go to bed at midnight. I get up at 4:30. I'm like, I know somebody that does that. And the dude, he goes, what would you say if I told you I go to bed at midnight and I get up at 4:30 every day? He goes, and he's like, I have plenty of energy. He said, I would say that your testosterone level is very high or you're on TRT. And he goes, yeah, well, but that explains it. Yeah. That's how you're able to do those things, by optimizing that.
Last night, so the girls wanted to watch a Christmas movie, and I was at a place with work where I was like, all right, I could sit down with you guys. And that was like the first time in like 6 days that I sat down to watch TV, and I fell asleep. Yeah. Because I didn't realize that my body was actually tired. I've just been going.
If I sit still, I fall asleep, for sure. Yeah.
But yeah,
if we go to the movies, I got to drink like half a red line before I walk in the movie.
And he's still going to fall asleep within 30 minutes.
I've only been to the movies 3 times in like the past 6 years, and 2 of them I fell asleep during the
Dude,
movie.
you should take them to, I don't know if it's still called the Big D, the Carmike Big D. I think it's changed names. Same theater, though. It's in Franklin, Thoroughbred, where they used to have Cars and Coffee.
Yeah.
Because it's a big theater, and you have the IMAX in there.
Oh, okay, yeah, I'll take them.
You should go in there and go get lunch somewhere or something. Yeah. But just give those kids that experience, because the theater's enormous and the sound is fucking awesome in there. It really is worth seeing it.
You know what's weird is that's rare now. Like they want to see Blue's Clues movies coming out today or tomorrow. They want to go see it in the theater. It's not going to be shown in the theater. You got to buy the app to watch
especially during the COVID stuff, man. When the theater opened back up and we went to the theater. Plaster was falling off the walls.
Yeah.
Wall coverings were falling off the walls. The fountain is empty.
Yeah.
The parking lots are complete trash.
They just abandoned that model.
They did, yeah. It's dying. Yeah. So Nick Pratka, we did that one. Brian Fraser. John, out of curiosity, why didn't you run the old SOE out of business like Combat Cock guy? Why didn't you run the old SOE, the one the ex stole, out of business? So she doesn't own it. And the truth is, I'm kind of friendly. And I mean, he's doing, and I don't know that I could run him out of it. Let's just be honest, right? Mike is doing millions and millions of dollar contracts for the Marine Corps. Mike was a reconnaissance Marine. And the truth is, we're kind of friendly. When I wanted to buy some cars, I'm like, hey, how did you buy these cars? Hey, I need to buy some real clothes. What should I fucking get? Like, I talked to Mike. Mike's making really big moves. I'm proud of him. I'm not mad at him. And we're kind of friendly, really. So what is the ex doing? I don't have a fucking clue what the ex is doing. I've talked to my son several times in the last year. I have not spoken to her at all. And I don't have a clue what she's doing. She's a mess. She's always going to be a mess. And really, there's nothing to run out of business. I mean, she's working within a company that I owned. And the last I heard, she was making like $15 an hour. I don't know. Brian Fraser also. Silage question. I should have asked Nick. Is hemp silage edible to animals? That's a good question because I have a ton of access to hemp.
This doesn't happen to me often, but I don't know what silage means.
Okay, hold on. Let me finish the question. Okay. Grows wild all over Appalachian Mountains and legal in some states. So it's legal here. Silage is all the trees. That's what we're going to do with the trees. So all those fodder trees we planted, we did hybrid willow, hybrid poplar, Russian white mulberry. We planted 1,000 trees, I think, is what's up there. 1,000, 300, 900.
It's a lot, whatever it is.
A lot of video of them being planted.
Yeah, I'm sure it all looked the same too. You're like, this motherfucker didn't even, this is all old video he's giving. No, it's all new. So we let them grow, okay? We let the trees grow. But we don't have, and I planted them 6 inches apart. They're going to grow, it's going to be a fucking tight wall. But we planted them 9 feet apart. Truth be told, that's not enough. We planted them 9 feet apart, but when I drive the lawnmower through there, I still fall into the ditch, and the ditch is 24 inches deep. So I have to go get a chain and a 4-wheeler. And the skid steer, same thing. It'll go through there, but then I'm going to hit the other row. We really need to redo a lot of it. We didn't know.
Yeah.
Nick is awesome at, hey, you need to do this thing, and here's how you do it. But then when we do it, it's like getting a set of titties put in but you used like a Groupon coupon, right? Yeah, you might get some titties, but there's no aftercare. No, he didn't. He's like, hey, how's that going? Hey, like, we don't know what we don't know, right?
Yeah.
So I learned a lot doing it. And fuck, man, as soon as I said I was going to do it, Bob came out. Bob's like, hey, I'll be there tomorrow. Came out, fucking taught us how to use the laser level. We had the excavator. He put them in. Great. We did a great job. Bob did a great job. We just didn't know what we were doing, right?
Yeah.
So Bob has put in a fucking ton of these things. He built a 5-acre maze, like a corn maze.
Which is so cool.
But out of fodder trees. So what we're going to do is we cut them off. We don't ever let them become a tree. And by cutting them off, that's called compassing. We're going to cut them down 6 inches, 10 inches, 12 inches, whatever. And what we're after is new growth shoots. So like those blueberry plants up there, they grow all these little shoots out all over the place. Now we can take and cut those and put them straight into rabbit cages, put them into the goats. The goats will eat them down. The rabbits will chew the bark off of them. Or you can take them and run them through a wood chipper and make a pulp out of them. And then you add salt to it and you basically ferment it. We put them in 55-gallon drums or IBC totes or whatever, and we airtight them. We seal them. And then we let them ferment
let it rot.
We just let it fucking ferment for, I think it's 6 months. I don't know what it is. And then we take it from there and we dry it out, and now it's called silage, and that's what silage is.
Okay, so does it like? It's clearly not pelletized at that point.
Correct.
It would be like the process to make something pelletized.
Correct. Now people don't know. This wasn't even on my radar till about 6 weeks ago. You can buy a pelletizer. You can buy a machine, but there's more that goes with it, right? You can't just take and run this stuff through a machine. You have to put it through a hammer mill first. So I mean, it's a fucking process. But we can take silage and direct feed it to the animals without making it.
That's cool.
We can take it and we're gonna put it in 70-gallon contractor bags, and it doesn't have to be 70 gallons. You can do a bunch of 30s. You can just put it in whatever, right? Don't ever. It's the toolbox fallacy. You start to make some awesome chicken noodle soup, and you realize you don't have celery powder, so I can't do this. No, motherfucker, you just do it without the celery. You can do anything, right? So you can keep it in contractor bags. You can keep it in drums. We can keep it in anything. It'll store up to 2 years. Why 2 years? I don't know, because that's what fucking people told me. 2 years. Maybe it's 6 years. I don't know. Probably gets moldy or something. But I feed my animals all kinds of. If I always get one of those brute force trash cans, and I swear the dogs do it. They take the lids off of them when it's raining. So I come out and the trash can's half full of water. I'm not going to throw away 100 pounds of feed. You filthy animals, you eat poop all the time. You're going to eat some fucking moldy corn for the next day.
That reminds me, you have I was watching a video I was editing a video of you on the trail that goes behind the chickens. Mm-hmm. There is a highly psychedelic mushroom back there.
I'm sure.
The Mario-looking one. It's like red and white.
So those pop up every now and then.
Yeah, something's going to eat that, and they're going to go on a trip. So I might as well give them moldy.
Is that in fact a psychedelic mushroom, or it just looks like it should be?
It looks like what's called Amanita muscaria, which is like the ones that they were eating when they invented the concept of Santa Claus. You
threw that out there pretty fast. How many times have you had that?
I don't have that much experience in psychedelics, but I know what happens.
Well, we know where to get it, so we should find out what it's going to do to you. So the fence behind the chicken runs, right back there, that's where we trapped the sheep, right? It goes to a dead end right now. It doesn't go all the way around because we put that hay barn in there. Mm-hmm. And we never opened that path back up. Outside that fence line is the trail that runs up along there where we took all the people during SRF. Yeah. There's a trail behind that runs the entire length of the property to the back. That was a big straight run from the motocross track back there. Mm-hmm. And we cover that when we were running the razors through there. We have 3 razors here, and we would run them, I don't know, 40 to 50 miles an hour.
As fast as you could get them.
Whenever we'd do a party, people would show up here early, and and people would bring their razors too. And we would just fucking tear ass around the track. It's 1.25 miles what it was. but it was making so much dust in here. We're kind of in a bowl. So you would, if you were inside and walked out, you'd be like, holy shit, something's on fire. It was so dusty in here. And then it would fill the bowl up and the dust would go out on the road and it would be like thick fog on the road. It was like the possibility of an accident was really there.
Yeah.
So before people would come in, we'd go out there and sprinkler it and all kinds of shit. I had intended to buy a water truck for this. But then we started getting wood chips. So we started putting wood chips down, which holds the moisture, and that took care of all of the dust problems. But the wood chips on that back run back there, Chef would walk back there, Josh, and he's like, oh, there's this kind of mushroom, chicken of the woods. We would put on all this wood, and a lot of that wood had hardwood in it. And you would be out there one day and there's nothing. And the next morning you'd be out there and there was literally a field hundreds feet long of mushrooms that had just from the fungus in the hardwood wood chips.
People.
So you'd have one for a couple of days, there'd be one kind of mushroom. And then next week there'd be this other kind of mushroom, and mushrooms still grow back there all the time now. Yeah. And because it's shade, it's humid, it gets filtered sunlight. It's just a perfect place. Like if we wanted to inoculate some hardwood, like some white oak, you can just drill them with these 1/2-inch drill bits, and you get your inoculant, comes in like a wax capsule. You just push it in there, and you set them on sawhorses, and you can grow all kinds of mushrooms. That's the perfect place to do it, right there and right over here in the shade, back by the new fence. Perfect for growing mushrooms if you wanted to do it. But yeah, there's a ton of spore back in there for sure.
Yeah, that's crazy that he would just pick them. I mean, I'm sure he knows what he's doing, but I don't know what I'm doing, and I wouldn't want to eat something.
Josh really did seem to know what he was doing with that stuff. Yeah. I watched a show on mushrooms in Tennessee and mushrooms in Kentucky, and the one thing that stood out to me was that, I don't remember what the number was. Let's say there's 900 different kinds of mushrooms in Kentucky. 850 will kill you dead.
Yeah.
So I'm like, okay, what that tells me is I don't need to be fucking with mushrooms because I have way more chicken than I can possibly eat.
Well, that was my point. Like, if there's animals out there eating those,
I think animals know.
Oh, you think? Oh, I guess so. Yeah.
They really seem to know. Like an animal will go after minerals that it needs, and if it doesn't, so if you feed your animals a mineral block, they have no choice but to eat the mineral block, right? And there's all kinds of minerals in the mineral block. But if you look at Greg Judy started it, what's that kind of like crybaby homestead prepper guy? Always soft.
One?
Yeah, I don't know.
Justin Rhodes. I'm just kidding, Justin. But not really. It's called a salad bar feeder, right? So you just basically have 10 bins, 12 bins, and they have you use conveyor belt material and you bolt it over so it covers it all. But then you cut it so each bin has a slot, right? The animals can smell the mineral, and they know what the mineral they want, and they'll kind of flip it up with their nose, and they'll just eat some of the mineral out of there. Copper was a big one. A lot of animals were very lacking in copper, and then you had selenium. You had all these different things, right? But their mineral bill fucking went down like 1,000%. I mean, it was insane how much money they saved by doing this, and how much disease and issues went down in the animal herds when you just gave them access to the individual mineral. Let them pick what you need to keep it out of the weather. The weather's the big thing, right? So you want to keep it like under an eave or in a lean-to. Yeah, a lot of it's powder. Yep, for sure. So, John, do you think it is too late? Oh, so he asked about hemp. So there's a ton of hemp. I know we could make it into silage. That is a very good question. Somebody asked me if I wanted it for ground cover and mulch, but it's very fibrous and it's very like, I had a kid come in here and pull a bunch of weeds. We had all these weeds show up this year that we've never had. And what that tells me is we're deficient in something in the soil. And we pulled these things and they're about 3 to 4 feet tall. And there's just this stick and they're about the size of a pencil and they had leaves all up in them. Well, we took it, and he threw a bunch of that shit in. I guess I told him to do it. We threw it in the animal pens. I trip over that shit because it's hard as it's a stick now, and I trip over it like crazy now. And I just felt that's kind of how the hemp would be, so we didn't use it. I still have a good amount of wood mulch to use. But I wonder if we could silage that.
Can I tell you what the Google machine says?
What's it say?
It says ruminant animals like cattle and sheep can readily digest hemp's high cellulose plant material, breaking down hemp in their rumen and converting it into different minerals.
I wonder if once it's dried, though, how that would work. John, do you think it is too late to plant hemp on back sheep field? It's nothing else for soil, if nothing else for soil amendment, removal of heavy metals and such. So I don't have any heavy metals back there. I don't know why there would be heavy metals back there. I could plant a ton of shit there that I would rather have than hemp. So I'm not in. Tad, you want to talk hemp, guys? Mm-hmm. Tad had almost 1,000 acres in hemp, I think. So I can tell you, he was on the Tennessee board of fucking hemp for Food and Drug Administration. I don't know. He went to all the Nashville Hemp Growers Association meetings, which was, government stuff.
Trying to tear us down.